That is a LS in a 1988 Honda Accord. As you can see right there, looking beautiful. We got the motor situated. The motor's looking really good. And in this video, you're gonna see the wheels. Wheels are a huge deal to me. They always gotta be kind of fresh, kind of special, something that not everybody can get. And I feel like these wheels are perfect for the build and perfect for my style.
And now, you're watching If the Valentine's Day Was Really Nice and Great, You Better Hope She's Not Late channel of YouTube. Welcome to Bodie Vision.
Hey, so what's happening? What's going on? Thank you so much for joining me on another video. So we are going to get right into what these wheels are. I'm not going to talk about them too much right now before I actually show you. Let me just grab them. Boom! OZ Racing Fittipaldi's 16x10, 5x120. 5x120 is kind of an uncommon lug pattern for any of the Hondas, so it was hard to find wheels in a 16. Most all the aftermarket wheels out there come in a 17, 18 or bigger, and a lot of these wheels are extremely popular with a lot of the Euro guys because OZ Racing is actually an Italian company, so it is an Italian wheel. But when the C4 Corvette was out, you could have special ordered your Corvette with these wheels, and that's why they have the C4 Corvette logo, which is super cool because the car is the same exact era, late 80s, and these wheels are actually stamped. They are actually stamped 1989 right there. So to have that on the Accord, which is an 88, is super cool, era correct. Also, every single one of the bolts is stamped OZ. So as I'm looking for wheels, that's something that I'm always looking for. I don't care if there's a little bit of oxidation, just making sure that the wheel is actually all original. The original sticker is still on it. These wheels are perfect. The size is right. The tires will change because these are a little bit too big for the Accord. 3-piece wheels, era correct, that's just perfect. So with these, another thing that I was concerned about, because the car that I'm stripping down, the 04 GTO sitting right there, is an 04, but it has 05 brakes. It's got the brake upgrade on it to being a little bit bigger. So I was worried about caliper to barrel clearance, and as you can see, it's really tight, but all the way around, it's just fine. That's just the brake rubbing a little bit on the rotor because they haven't been used in a little while, but that's completely fine. It doesn't touch. A little bit of clearance is enough clearance, and I am happy with that. So these wheels, what I want to do, we're not going to get a real good idea, but I kind of want to just see how, they're going to look on the front of the car. I'm going to throw the spindle on, I'm going to throw the fender on, and let's see. So first look, I'm a huge fan. I think these look awesome. One thing that was very obvious before and is even more obvious now is these tires are just too big. I'm not gonna be running these tires, and that's all good. And I'm gonna have to get something a lot smaller because I was going from a 15x7 before. Now I'm going to a 16x10. And now it's not right now, but coming up in the way later stage of this build, we might have to go wide body. So I might be doing something custom with that, something one-off, but that's way further down the line, so we're not going to get into that right now. Now another thing is, right now the camber, the caster, everything is just completely way off because the suspension is McPherson style. I don't have any of the struts in there, so the caster is way off, the camber is way off. It's just sitting in there really loosely, just so that way we can get a really rough idea on how they look. another thing that just occurred to me is we checked the front brakes for clearance. Everything's going to be fine on the front once we get a smaller tire. I actually wanted to check it out on the rear because the relationship between the shock and the inner edge of that tire is very close on the GTO. That's just how they designed it. That's just how they made it. So I wanted to go ahead and throw one of the wheels on the GTO and take a look. And if you can see, the wheel looks pretty ugly on here. It definitely has a lower offset, meaning the entire barrel is pushed out a little bit further than the actual GTO wheel. And what I was worried about was this shock right here, but there's just about, I know this is a ridiculous measurement, but there's just about 2 inches of clearance. Any clearance at all is enough. The more the better, and we are looking good to go. And the reason why I wanted to check that is because we will essentially be using the rear end of the GTO into my Honda Accord. So fitment in the back is fine, fitment in the front is good. So we switched gears a little bit. I didn't want to just keep dragging out doing different things with the wheels. I want to actually continue to get work done. So what I wanted to do is get the trans mounted up because the motor's sitting on its mounts. That's all good. So the only thing that makes sense is to get the trans mount mounted up. And what I think I'm going to do, what we are going to do, is use this metal right here to kind of tie into the frame that is already there. And this also, it had to be cut a certain way, and we kind of left this gusset in here. And then we have these holes drilled out, but I'm going to reinforce it. And then from the underside, we can go ahead and re-drill that back out. So the idea is I'm going to have a bolt going through here, and then the stud's going to be sticking out, and then the trans mount is going to come up to it with a nut on the bottom, and that's going to be all good. That should work. And I just have this stuff. This was just extra sitting around from when I built out the subframe. So that bracket right there, that's what's actually going to hold the trans mount up. The trans mount is going to hold up the transmission, obviously, and the way that I'm going to tie it in is I'm going to use the frame from the unibody structure, the strong part that ran from front to back on the Accord. It's going to be butted up to that, and then going across the other direction or adjacent to that, I'm going to have it right underneath the rails that the seats bolt to. So I'm grabbing structure from all directions because the main goal is to make it strong, and also we want to make sure it's up high enough so that way the trans is not hanging any lower than the car. And I think where I put it is going to accomplish just that. So let's just get them tacked in, and then I'll show you. It'll make a little more sense. So right now this is a really rough look at how the transmission is going to be hung. So this is the super thick, super beefy mount. This is what I just welded together. This is really thick, really crazy stuff. This is welded to the old frame of the Accord that comes underneath this rib right here, and it's butted up to it perfectly. I have this welded on this side, this all the way here. Underneath I have it welded as well. I would show you, but you can't see very well down there. And also I wanted to say that I kept this bolt right here because this is one of the seat bracket bolts. So there's 1, 2, and then the other 2 are back there. So front mounts are good. Trans mount is just an early rendition of what it's going to be. I want to create something to go from here up and over and down to there, or maybe from this piece over and down to there, just to tie the car back together side to side. And we are just overall making really good progress. I couldn't be more excited with where we're at right now. We have the motor in, mounts are good, tubs out, coilover still on the way. I know I'm saying that within every video, but I just got an email today saying they should be coming soon. And actually it is the next day now. I was thinking about closing out the video yesterday. I actually did film an outro and everything, but I didn't get to edit the video, so we're just gonna keep it rolling in on this video, and I didn't want to leave it off as incomplete as it was looking. I want to show you kind of the entire step. We're building out the trans mount. I want to show you the trans mount when it's relatively done. So what I've done since yesterday, since I picked up the camera, is there's this piece right here this little A-frame. This is what I'm gonna add to tie this beefy piece with this piece all together. And then also I added this piece right here, and this is just 1x2, so this comes back and it's welded all along here, tied to this piece on the top and on the bottom, and this sticks out about 1 inch, and it's a 1x3. So since it sticks out about 1 inch, this piece right here is gonna tie in right there. This is still really loose. It's gonna tie in right there. It's gonna tie into this piece, and that perch, or that little piece that's sticking over, ties into this piece. So all in all, side to side, it's gonna be running through there. I think that's gonna be good enough for strength. I gotta go ahead and weld this out, and then we gotta get that tacked in. And then the transmount. The transmount's about to be behind us. Alright, so that little A-frame that I just welded together, that's right here. That's looking good. That's really strong. It's welded all the way around. Also, these two bolts right here, this one and that one, those are going down. I went ahead and I welded them up top, so that way on the bottom it's just a stud sticking out. I could put a bolt through it. So it's this bolt here, this bolt there, and then there's two on the rubber mount, and then there's these two over there. So once those come out, the mount can come out, then the trans can mount. So the trans is good, the trans is mounted, the motor's good, the motor's mounted. We got some strength back in the floor because this goes to here, up and around and over there, and then there's plenty of room for the drive shaft to come through. Also, what I plan on doing is running the stock shifter setup. This is from the Accord, so that's gonna sit something like that, something right there, and that looks really good. The e-brake, we're gonna have to relocate it to make it fit in here, but also we're gonna be using the cables out of the rear end. And speaking of the rear end of the GTO, that is right here. I just got that ripped out a little bit ago. Now, I was debating whether I wanted to film all that, whether I wanted to show you that, but in reality, I'm not too concerned about the GTO. I just want to get parts ripped out, and what I want to show you is how I make those parts fit into the Accord. So here it is, right here. There's just 3 main mounting surfaces, one right there, one for the diff, and then another one right there. And then the shock comes off right here into the car, and then the spring comes off right there into the car. So I'm gonna basically be back halving the Accord in a way, a little bit, kind of, just to make this work. So all in all, in this video, we got the rear end out. That's looking good. We got the wheels. That's looking really good. I'm gonna have to figure out, and I've actually been doing a lot of math to figure out what size tires I wanna run to make them a little bit bigger, a little bit more meaty than they were before, but not nearly as big as they are right now. That's just too big. So motor, mount's looking good, wheels looking good, trans mount looking good, rear end looking good, you're looking good. So I think that's gonna be it for this one, you guys. Let me know what you think about the progress thus far. We're just going to keep getting after it. In the next video, make sure you subscribe to see that. Like this video, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff. You know what it is, YouTube. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.